Welcome to School's Out 80s Comedy Story Time.
Hey everybody, welcome to School's Out 80s Comedy Story Time. Got a really special guest here, coming all the way from Montreal, Canada. Emma Chase, say hello to School's Out 80s audience.
Hey, how's it going? I was gonna try to match the voice, but I can't. I'm not going there.
It's okay. It's a fake voice, Emma. It's all good.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. You know, we got something really lucky going on today because you are on the 13th episode of School's Out 80s.
Ooh, spooky.
Yeah, so if something drops on you or anything like that, it's not my fault. It's just
No.
like the karma of the number. I'm
Yeah.
not into numerology, but there might be something to it.
You think so?
Yeah, you never know. I
It's
don't
funny
count
because
anything out.
I don't know if this is funny or relevant or you'll cut it out, but so my whole life I grew up thinking the number 13 was very unlucky and it was spooky and it was, there's no 13th floor. And later on in life, when, I started my businesses and I owned a bakery, I hired a
Oh wow, you had a
lovely
bakery.
I hired a baker's assistant and she was Jewish. And I don't know how it came up on the 13th. And she said, no, it's actually a very lucky number for us.
Oh,
So for the Jewish faith. And so from
okay.
that moment on, after her explanation, I was like, I'm not spooked anymore. So I don't know. I would love to know the history of why.
Why 13?
13? Yeah.
Yeah, no idea. No idea.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are spooked by 13. I embrace it.
I mean, there's not much we can do about it.
No, not much at all. Not much at all. Well, hey, Emmett. So in this show, it's all about finding the funny, and it's all about talking about things that happen to us in school. I don't know. It's called the 80s. Do you have any remembrance of the 80s? Were you alive during the 80s?
I was alive during the 80s. I was born in the 80s.
Awesome.
Yeah, Flashdance is my theme song for the year. So
Okay.
1983.
Yeah.
I my love affair with music started from a very young age. So I remember the era
Right.
in itself, but more of the memories that are more at the forefront of my mind are obviously in the 90s.
Sure.
But I've always had this nostalgic, romantic affair with the 1980s era.
Yeah. Sure.
It's because I was born in the 80s or
Right. Right.
what it is, but there's just something that resonates so deeply.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Is there anything like that sticks out in your mind about the 80s or?
For me, it's the
Mhm.
eclectic music, right?
Okay.
It was the 80s was such an eclectic decade, I find.
Right.
Whereas the 90s, there's always been like punk rock and hard rock but never as incredibly different as going from Bowie to REO Speedwagon to, Ozzy that's very eclectic, but all of it played so well. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. Like when we were going through the 80s, I'm kind of an odd child, but when we were going through the 80s, I was paying no attention really to the 80s music except for Van Halen. Like literally, as it was coming out, it was considered like top 40. And I was so against top 40. Like I was listening to like Led Zeppelin, The Who, Jimi Hendrix, The Doors. I mean, I was listening to stuff from like the late 60s, 70s. And but then now the 80s, like anytime anything 80s comes on, it's just like takes me back in time. I just absolutely love it.
Yeah, and the stories behind the music. It's funny because when I was little, One of my uncles would always take me in his arms and sing to me These Eyes. And I was just absolutely in love with him. He was
Oh,
handsome, and he was just like, he was my uncle that would come into town, and I was the
yeah,
only girl, the only grandchild, the only child in the family, and he would just
sure.
spoil me rotten, and he would pick me up and he would sing These Eyes to me. And so this morning before recording with you, I was like, oh, I wonder what year the Who came out with These Eyes. And I saw 1969, and I thought, really? I
Oh,
had no
wow.
clue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. That is so cool.
Yeah.
That
But
is so
my
cool.
funny, not funny, related to the 80s story, and I guess my proof of my love for the 80s is that
Uh-huh.
my last year in high school, by this time I had moved to Montreal, but I grew up in Northern Ontario in a very
Mhm.
small town,
Mhm.
60 miles from Timmins, where Shania Twain is from, but
Oh,
really,
really?
really
Okay.
in the boondocks. But I also lived in Manitoba.
Okay.
Anyways, and the lead singer of the Who's actually from Winnipeg. But anyways, I digress. And so I had
Yeah.
moved back to Montreal, and this boy that I had a crush on when I was younger, and kind of
Right.
had this puppy love romantic crush on each other, but he was older than I was. Anyways, he was from Northern Ontario. Somehow he found me. And I was thinking about this today. It's before Facebook. So anyone who's listening who's
Was
like,
he
oh, it's not that
stalking you?
hard. It's not that hard to find you. It was
Right.
really hard back then. We had flip cell phones. They were phone books.
Right.
There was no internet. Well, there was internet, but not like it is today.
Sure.
He ended up finding me through, I don't know how. I think maybe calling some of my relatives, but I get a phone call at work. Yeah, I was working. I got a phone call at work, and he says, oh my God, I can't believe I found you. And I'm all like, oh, this is so cool. And he
Right.
says, okay, what are you doing this summer? And I said, well, gonna work, gonna get a job. Like, I'm finishing school. This is it.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm gonna come pick you up. I have a surprise for you. I'm gonna come pick you up in Montreal. Shows up in Montreal, and the surprise is 2 tickets to Def Leppard
Oh, good story.
in Sudbury, Ontario,
Okay.
which is like, it's a hike. It's probably 8 hours, 9 hours, 10
I've
hours from
heard that
Montreal.
about you guys. Like, you guys will drive for a concert in Canada.
Oh yeah. Yeah, especially Def Leppard. But the kicker is, I mean, at this point it's late 90s. No, it's early 2000s. It's early 2000s. So
Okay.
Def Leppard is not what Def Leppard used to be, right? Like what it means
Still
to
real
me
good,
today.
but yeah.
But so they're playing in a high school gymnasium in Sudbury, Ontario. So anyways, I get in the
Wow.
truck, pack up a bag. I don't have give notice to the job that I'm working, drive to Northern Ontario, spend a couple days with my grandmother, and then get ready to go to the concert.
Yeah.
Get to the concert, they start playing, and I'm standing there like just in awe of the fact that I'm there. It's Def Leppard. Like, how
Right.
cool is this, right? Like,
Sure.
this is my moment. So of course, Pour Some Sugar on Me comes, and every cougar in the joint pours their beer on themselves. Now I'm thinking that's the stupidest thing.
I
You're gonna
agree.
be wet all night. You're gonna stink like beer. Like, this is gross. But I'm just going with it.
It's also kind of alcohol abuse, really. Like,
It's kind
did
of
the
gross.
beer really need to have that happen to it?
Like, and it's not sexy. I didn't think it was sexy, so I didn't partake in any of that. But I was just hooting and hollering and having a great time.
Okay.
This person that went out of his way to find me, to come get me, right? To reminisce about old times, this forbidden love we had. Concert's over. He says to me, I'm going to go get a beer.
Okay.
The concert ends. He's not back. I walk out of the arena, and I'm standing there looking around, and I see him talking to a group of people. So I shyly walk over, and I'm like, hey, it's been a while. He says, can you go wait in the car? So I wait in the car. Half an hour goes by, 45 minutes goes by. He knocks on the window, and he says, yeah, you see that group over there? Yeah, that's my ex-girlfriend. And, she's really sorry. We went through a hard time, and we're going to try and patch things up. So do you mind staying in the car, and I'll take you home tomorrow?
Oh my God. That is so wrong.
So wrong on so
Was
many
it
levels.
freezing
So I
cold
left this
outside?
guy, and I am hours away from my hometown in Northern Ontario. So
Oh
it's
my
not like I could
God.
call grandma in the middle of the night. There's no one, there's nothing. But that's the beauty about growing up in a small town. Like half of that high school gymnasium were people from Cochrane.
Oh, everybody
And
knew
so people,
everybody.
oh my God, is that Emmanuel? Oh my God, how are you? Do you remember me? We went to school
Wow.
together. And so lucky for me, two people that were heading back that night asked, like, are you okay? You kind of just been sitting around the car.
Yeah.
And I said, I'd love a ride back home with you guys. But yeah, so I was left in the parking lot of the Def Leppard concert. That's my funny story.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's intense.
it is intense. So you have this high and then this, what the F just happened?
Right.
So
Yeah. What
whenever
a
I hear
jerk.
the song Pour Some Sugar on Me now, it's the reminiscing of the big bosoms covered in beer and
That is
being left in a parking
crazy.
lot. Yeah.
So you'll definitely have to like send this podcast to him and tell him what a jerk he is. This is going worldwide and
Yeah.
viral. How big of a jerk can you be? Oh my God.
I mean, he's been, apologizing and groveling since, and we're still friends to this day, but it's like anything could have happened, right? Like now as a mother, I'm like, wow, I was brave. I was brave. I didn't panic, but also lucky. And that's the beauty of living in a small town. I mean, if
Right.
it would have been in Montreal, who knows, right? But I was lucky. I had two angels that day who were like, this is not okay. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, I'd
Right.
spent every
Sure.
single
So
penny
who
on
was
gas
opening up for,
money.
hey, Emma, who opened up for Def Leppard?
Oh my gosh. I don't even remember.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I still have my ticket stub though. I could probably find it.
You think it was Poison? Because there was a
No.
tour where it was Poison and Def Leppard, and it was in the early 2000s. I went to it.
I don't think it was Poison because
No?
I'm kind of obsessed with the lead singer. No, I don't think it was Poison.
Ah, you and all the other women
I
in the
know.
world.
I know. It sounds sexy.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually met that guy.
Have
Got a
you?
picture with him. He's a hell of a nice guy. Like he wanted to make sure the picture was good. Like we took the picture on the cell phone or whatever, and he had like his, roadie or whatever, and he's like, "Is it a good one? Is it clear?" And
That's so
he's
nice.
like, "Yeah. What a cool dude. What a cool dude."
Yeah, I like that. So
Big
no, I
thumbs
don't
up,
know.
Bret Michaels.
Actually, I think I blocked that out.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
I must have
Wow, what
blocked
a
it
weird
out.
deal. I'll tell you, something that I could mention that kind of is some relatability on a different level is I can remember in my early 20s being in Dallas and this really pretty girl's like, "Hey, let's get a drink together." We're at the bar or whatever, and I'm like, "Okay." And I'm like, "What do you want?" And she's like, I want I don't know, a top shelf margarita, like one of the most expensive drinks you can get. And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I think I'll just take a beer." And I get her drink. And like, I'm new to town. Like, I know no one. And I'm in this bar just hanging out because that's just kind of how I roll. And she's like, "Thanks," and took off to be with her friends.
That's so mean.
I know.
It's
I
so
know. It makes for a
mean.
damn good story, too. I
It
also had a
does.
guy approach me one night and asked me to dance. So, you get the good with the bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
man, I'm
pretty
such a
cool, though.
country boy. I didn't even know how to take that. Like, I'm not a mean person, but I'm like, a guy asking me to dance, like, I don't even know what the hell to say. Like, dude, I grew up around I grew up around cornfield. Not that there can't be gay people around cornfields, but like,
Yeah.
dude, if you knew how
You
I
weren't
grew up,
exposed
like,
to it.
I'm so not gay. It's not even funny, but like, I don't know what to do. It's just like, I'm so like non-socialized. I'm a country boy. I have no clue of like how to handle something like that. And I'm just like,
That's
nah.
funny. See, as women, we don't have that problem. Like where a girl would ask you to dance and you'd be like, okay, sure. That wouldn't
Yeah,
be
yeah,
the
yeah,
first
yeah.
thought. So that's
Oh,
that's
yeah.
different.
And this was a
Yeah.
club too, which makes it even different. And then another time, this is kind of a funny story. And again, nothing against gay people. I love gay people. These are just funny stories. But we were doing a happy hour. I think it was in the early 90s, mid 90s or whatever. And we were over at this gal's apartment. And we had all worked together all week long. We're like, okay, let's all go to a happy hour. And her guy roommate was gay. And And so, you know, we're talking and everything. They're like, you know what? Let's all just go over to this gay bar. It's just like maybe, you know, a couple blocks down. We won't even have to drive. We can all just kind of walk over there and everything. That way, Bill will be more comfortable. And I thought, okay, there's like 16 of us and we're going to make Bill comfortable. I'm going to be highly uncomfortable. And I was like really uncomfortable,
Were
but I
you?
dealt with it. And another dude asked me to dance.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I'm giving off this gay vibe. I don't know why, but I am.
No, I just think, it's being polite. But some of the best nights of my life have been in gay bars and clubs, especially here in Montreal.
Okay, yeah.
Because the ambiance, the atmosphere, it's no judgment. It's not, when you're in a regular club as women, we're worried about how we're dancing, how we're looking, who's, we're nervous. We stay in pods and groups.
Oh, yeah,
There's this such a protective vibe in the gay community, especially when you have, friends who know people. And so there's no judgment. It's so free. The music's always awesome. And I mean, who doesn't want to suck back a shot of sourpuss out of Cher's tits? When else are you going to get to do that in your life? So
from a guy, right? It's a guy with breasts.
It's a guy with breasts.
Ah, okay. Intriguing.
But it's beautiful the way that they, for it's art. So there's not that liberty, I want to say, in a non-gay club. It's more black and white. So
yeah, it's definitely more wide open. So okay, Emma, take us back. What's that?
It's a testament to your handsomeness.
Oh, thank you.
I would take it that way.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So okay, so let's talk. So high school. Any funny stories that you can remember, like at parties or during the school day, or like this morning? I was even thinking like PE class. Like in the United States, I'm in Texas, but I grew up in Missouri. But in the United States, we have PE class, and I'm a big believer in like physical education. I think it's super, super important. But I also think it's like really difficult for a kid in like middle school and high school to just go run to the locker room, put on all their gear, and boom, now they're in the gym, and it's like conversely different than the rest of their day.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, we didn't have showers. So it's kind of like you'd get nice and stinky and then you had to sit in that all day, which is kind of gross, especially for girls. It's an awkward time because a lot of us are blossoming into women.
Right.
So once a month for a week, it's kind of like, I don't want to do this.
Is that how often you guys did it? Like just once a month?
No, I mean, our Shark Week for us is once a month.
Oh, gotcha.
So you're turning into a woman. It's Shark Week, and now you've got gym class, and you're running laps around at school, outside, and in the winter it's cold, and so it's never something that stuck. But I think that I have, trauma from gym class because towards the end of middle school, I was raised by my grandmother, who'd raised 5 boys.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that when it came time to me, she kind of missed a step or forgot some education about puberty.
Oh, okay.
So I remember very clearly one day coming into gym class and putting on my shorts. And I don't know if it was the way that I was standing and the doors of the gym were open and the way the sun was reflecting on my legs. We had all the girls on one side and all the guys on one side. And this one guy started laughing hysterically and pointing at my legs and saying, what is it called? Bigfoot. Bigfoot is there, and laughing at these, the peach fuzz on my legs, the hair on my legs.
Oh, gotcha.
Little blonde, peach fuzz. But at that time, girls had started shaving, and I didn't know you were.
Oh, and your grandmother didn't tell you about it, huh?
I was still young, I guess. And for her, of course I came home and I was devastated. And she was like, it's blonde. No one can see it. And I'm like, they can see it in the sun. In the sun, it looks like I am wearing fur pants.
Oh, wow.
And so one of my classmates called me over and proceeded to show me how to shave my legs with those Bic razors. Remember the one blade?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was fun. But so that was my traumatizing gym class experience. And so for me, any excuse I could come up with, I was like, I'll get the water, I'll bring cold towels.
Isn't that interesting? Like when I was in gym class, it's different. Because you're a gal, so it's like they want you to have smooth legs. And when I was in gym class, people made fun of each other for not having hairy legs.
You serious?
Oh, yeah, I'm 100% serious. Like guys would just stare at each other and then make comments. And it's
Yeah.
so wild to me because like some of the people that would like poke fun at me or, do whatever, like they're such losers in life. I mean, not even close to having any moniker of success.
Yeah.
But like the most impressive thing they ever did was make fun of somebody in gym class.
That's sad.
It is very sad.
Yeah.
But very true though.
You hope that those personality types will grow out of it. The ones that gain all of their pleasure from making others feel bad about themselves. Yeah.
High school is like a pea dish, right? It's like everybody from every walk of life, every socioeconomic background, all thrown together inside of this building and expected to, cohabitate.
Cohabitate, learn at the same pace, do the same things, develop at the same rate.
They all
It's a
dress
hot
the
mess.
same way. I mean,
Yeah.
it's wild that like
Yeah.
one thing that's really not propagated in the United States or promoted in the United States, which I think should be promoted in the United States, is individuality.
Mm.
Individuality. Most high schools, like you walk the high school, around the high school in Dallas or whatever. I've done it a little bit with my boys in high school. Kids are all dressed exactly the same. They're all just trying to fit in. Everybody's trying to be the same thing. It's really sad. But this is a comedy show. What's that?
No, I know. This is taking it. I started off with my sad story.
Okay, so I got a story from high school. So we had gym class and we had dodgeball. So there have been movies made on dodgeball. So in Canada, did you guys play dodgeball?
Yes.
Dodgeball is scary.
Dodgeball is violent. Yeah.
So one of the guys, if he hears this, I don't even think he's on Facebook. He's such a sweet guy. His name's Mark, an amazing athlete. I mean, an amazing athlete. I mean, he could throw the ball with one arm so fast it made a whistling sound as it hit you in the head. And he could target any part of your body to demolish from across the gym. He was a baseball pitcher. He was a club soccer player. What else did he do? I mean, he was on our football team. He was really good on our football team. I can't remember what he played on our football team, but I mean, so I'm semi-athletic, and that might be a stretch. I played a little basketball, but man, I was no match for dodgeball with those guys. Oh my God. It was just like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'd rather get out where I barely get hit than have to stay in and really get pummeled.
Yeah, and then cry. No, I find it's extreme.
Oh yeah, people get hit.
So is tetherball, though. If you think about it, you remember the ball that was tied to the post?
Yep.
That was not okay.
No, and like the coaches in our high school were okay with it. I always felt like they almost promoted violence.
Yeah.
If any of my high school did you guys try to promote violence? Our coaches were very athletic too in my high school. They were like college basketball players. And
I don't know that they promoted violence, but I think competition was such an innate part of it.
Yeah.
That the competitive attitude, that competitiveness came off as aggression.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought in like when our coach would do dodgeball, I mean, he'd pay no attention to the game.
No.
Like it wasn't like basketball where somebody could get fouled, somebody could double dribble, somebody could do this, somebody could do that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he would I think all he did was like before we went into the gym, 1, 2, 2, one, you're 1, you're 2, you're 1, you're 2, you're okay. You're the one's over here, the two's over here. Throw the balls.
So, yeah.
What about communicating with like the opposite sex in high school? So like when I was a kid, we didn't have cell phones. So like if you had to express interest in somebody, it was like either incognito or almost a stalking game, kind of like that guy did with you. So you either had to like look them up in the phone book and then like cold call the girl. Most guys didn't have the confidence to do that though. So most guys, what they would do instead would say, "Hey, I like Sally. You're really good friends with Jill. Ask Jill if Sally likes me."
Yeah. That was the same thing. We also had those notes.
Yes.
Remember the folded paper notes? Notes were a big thing.
Yes, they were.
Passing around notes. But yeah, that's, very similar, is asking a question about someone, or noticing that person's not in school that day and then it gets around.
Did you ever like pass a note to a guy you liked or get a note passed to you? Like, did you ever get caught in school, like trying to communicate with the guy incognito like that?
Yeah, but lucky for me, I never got called out to read it.
Oh, okay.
So, girls we can be very charming, so it's like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I was actually trying to get it to, your friend who's behind him to say, because I'm really not feeling so well. So I need like some Gravol. I'm really sorry." And so they wouldn't make you read the note. But yeah,
okay.
definitely. Definitely, especially whispering. I was the queen of like putting my workbook in front of my face, and the teacher would say like, "We can see your head moving, or we can hear you whispering." And I'd be like,
Right,
"Well,
right.
of course not. I have a book in front of my face." But yeah, I feel like I was bolder in high school. I enjoyed being the matchmaker.
Okay.
So for me, I took it upon myself that whoever had a crush on who, that I would be the facilitator of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
It can be traumatizing if things don't go your way. I have a friend of mine from college, and he got a divorce. And then one of our other friends married his ex. Like we all known each other since we were like 19 years old in college. And so my buddy got a divorce. And then one of our friends that we were in college with, he marries his ex. The story gets better.
That's intense.
Do what?
That's intense.
I agree. Like it's a great big world out there, and he couldn't find anybody else to date. And then the other thing that I find real intriguing about this is that his ex, before he married my buddy's ex, was one of our good friend's sisters that was in our fraternity. So we had a fraternity. We were all fraternity brothers. And so he ends up, we get out of college and he marries my buddy's sister.
Okay.
Right. Then that doesn't work out and they get a divorce. And then my other buddy marries somebody that he actually like meets out and about, and, and they get along and they get married and they have kids and whatever. And it doesn't work out. And then this guy who divorced one. So like he's never been in the dating pool outside of our P dish from college.
That's intense.
It's wild to me. Like it's like me when I was in my 20s, I was playing a numbers game. I was just trying to date as many girls as I possibly could. I was just like, it's like sales. It's got to be a numbers game.
Yeah, that's why I'm a one-man band. I create my own humor where I go, and
it's awesome.
You can't take yourself too seriously, because if not, you become consumed by it.
No, I am a studier of like the oddities of the world. And I find humor in the oddities of the world. So here's an example. So like I know people who, like we were talking about spouses and things like that, and divorce. So I know people who their spouse passed away. Really sad. I mean, that's very, very sad. And
I don't know where you're going with this.
and then they're like, hey, I got remarried. And I'm like, really?
Mm,
Who did you marry? And
His
they're like,
brother.
do what?
His brother.
No, my next door neighbor.
Mm,
And I
I
thought
get a lot
about
of
it and I
those.
thought, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Like their kids all went to school together. They probably at some point, if they're the similar ages, they probably had dinner together. And then the more you talk to them, they're like, yeah, we were family friends and we did so much like growing up, and he knows my kids really well and everything. And Johnny, he lives on my block, so I know like he's financially okay and everything. And I'm like going, wow,
Yeah.
like people are so wanting to be safe in life that they're willing to marry their next door neighbor.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy. You know what's funny and not so funny, but so funny, and I was thinking about that last week,
mhm.
where the rates of divorce is through the roof, right?
Really?
No.
It's wild. Like, there's a death game out there where people will bet on who the next person is to die. Back in the day, did you know that?
No.
I think there's a movie on it too. Um, I remember reading on the internet that people were putting strong odds, and I don't even know if this guy's still alive anymore, but Tiger Woods' father, like he was getting like really high rankings that he was going to be the next famous dad to go.
I've never heard of this. Maybe I thought maybe in nursing homes that's what you do. Like you're sitting around the
People are bored. They'll bet on
the Jello
anything.
table and you're talking about Gertrude, who, just had a coronary. I don't know, but I didn't know this was a thing.
It is, yeah.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
No,
No.
but the whole divorce thing doesn't surprise me a bit. I
No.
mean, I think you could put it on paper and you could analyze it and you could say, okay, so people growing up with a microwave, instant gratification,
Yeah.
okay, your food's instantly hot. You need food. You can go to like a fast food restaurant. You immediately can get, everything can get, and with the internet, the opportunity to meet more people is higher than it ever is, ever has been, I would
Ever
think.
has been.
Yeah.
And we live through this, disillusionment that no one has to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part.
It is. It's very, very sad. I mean,
This whole show's been sad, John. I'm sorry.
no. I think it's still kind of funny. I mean, I don't know. I think
It's the irony of life that's funny.
the
is that
world
we
around
keep
us is funny.
doing this same
The more you
pattern
analyze things,
over and
the
over.
funnier it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I was thinking the other day, and this is completely off the divorce subject, but I was sitting there thinking the other day, and I was like, the names they give for marijuana now are conversely different than when I was a kid. Like when I was a kid, it was like grass, dope, pot, Mary Jane, and it was all like hippie oriented.
Yeah.
Like it was like hippie, carnival people, rock and rollers, smoke grass. It was all, cool and happy and whatever. And it was all about like freedom and anti-society
I'm
and
thinking
all this.
of Junior from Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, there you go.
The child. So what are the cool kids calling it these days?
That's the conversely, and that's what I think so funny about it. So now it's called Delta 8, Delta 9, CBD oil. And so like my joke on it is it used to be all about the hippie movement. Now it sounds like a Star Trek convention.
It does sound kind of freaky.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
all like, it sounds like new computers coming out from Apple or
Yeah.
IBM.
The Delta 9.
Yeah, like, oh, we just got the new Delta 8 with a brand new monitor.
Is it named based on the type of trip that you'll have? Like the Delta 9, you're going to Deep Space Nine, and the Delta 8?
I have no idea. I think it's based upon molecule. I think like the Delta 9 has an added molecule and some of it has like more THC than others. And some of it's legal and some of it's illegal and blah, blah, blah. I went into
it sound as cool to look at your buddy and say, you want to go smoke a blunt versus saying you want to go smoke a Delta 9?
Yeah. It loses all its, yeah.
Sounds like something the Jetsons would drive.
if you want to have fun, is CBD, is it legal in Canada?
Yeah, it is. We actually have stores that sell government regulated stores where you can go in and buy edibles. You can go buy all sorts
Full
of
out marijuana or just CBD?
No, marijuana. You can buy
Okay.
it by the gram. And you go buy
So
your rolling.
inside that store, Emma, do they have the CBD and the regular marijuana, or
Oh,
just
yeah.
the marijuana?
CBD, they have edibles, they have the THC, they have all of the things.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's
How
government
old do you have to
regulated.
be to buy, like 21?
Our liquor stores are government regulated in Quebec.
Okay.
Okay. So you have the liquor store and now you have the weed store. And so they're government regulated and you have to be 18.
Ah, tax money, government regulated tax money, right? I
Yep.
got it. So
Yep.
interesting. So have you gone, is there any stores that are strictly CBD, or they're all like CBD and marijuana?
They're all CBD and marijuana.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think some of the best salespeople I've run into are in the CBD store. Not that I'm a big connoisseur, but it's like, okay, you buy this and you buy this, and we'll give you a pot brown, or, we'll give you a CBD brownie today only if you buy it today.
Well, I went with someone who was looking for CBD oil for their mother's fibromyalgia.
Oh, okay.
And so I've been out of that game for so long that it was kind of like, okay, I'll stand in line. It was kind of new, hot and fresh a few years ago. And so I stood in line. Lines are insane. But we got there and it was almost like a wine connoisseur. Like we were there and he was, going to give us a degustation, like a little tasting. But he was, this one has notes of, amber and musk, and this one, and it was very like professional, so it was funny. I was just looking at this guy, but it kind of loses the oomph of, sometimes when you just know too much. Like back in the day, it was like, oh, this is some really good stuff from Vancouver, hydroponic. Oh, yeah. And you were like, oh, yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah. Now it's like, the whole thing. 45 minutes into it, you're going to feel like, like this. And then 52 minutes into it, like that kills the buzz.
Right.
For me, personally.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's funny, though. Wow. So you guys have government regulated pot stores.
We do.
So in LA, I've been to LA before, and you can roll up like on Sunset Strip, and there's like a dope store right there, and you go in, and this might sound like I'm a big connoisseur of dope, and I'm not at all. Yeah, actually, this isn't me. This is a story about somebody I know who went into one of these stores while I was in LA, and told me the story about how they just take your driver's license, and then, like you're saying, they proceed to it's like going to a gourmet restaurant. Yeah. The catch of the day is this, and we have this, and it's a really nice on a bed of
it's very pretty dough. And they will ask you, they do that with your ID here as well, but they will ask you like, oh, the oil, like what physical condition do you have? And if you're like, oh, I have, migraines, and they're like, they know down to they're very educated, I have to say. I mean, if this is something new that you're exploring for whatever reason, or you're just curious about it, it felt very safe.
Interesting. Yeah, it's pretty wild what goes on these days.
Yeah.
So post high school, did you do any stuff post high school, like school wise, certification wise, or anything like that, where maybe any funny stories happen, or outings or anything like that?
I had my kids really young.
Did you? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I had my kids very young. I went back to school when I was older. So
cool.
That's the funny part. I was the old lady in the class. So I took a degree in business administration, and, I later studied hypnotherapy and rapid transformational therapy, mindset and mindfulness.
Yeah.
But that was all later on in life. So I've always been like the older lady in the group.
Sure.
Yeah.
So did you get a degree in business administration then?
I did.
Awesome. Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's okay. Accounting, I mean, not my forte. I had to redo that one a couple times.
Yep. No worries.
I had to redo the accounting module because I like to make money,
I
but
understand. Yeah, yeah.
figuring all this stuff out. So that was hilarious. And all these little whippersnippers, were in the group, and they're fresh out of high school. They knew what they were doing, and I spent a lot of time faking it till I made it. Like
Nothing
acting like
wrong
I
with
had my
that.
shit
Yeah.
together. Yeah. But no, I guess that was the funny story, was that I was the older lady.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
And they were talking to me about their broken hearts, and here I am with
Uh,
a couple of kids, and and going, it's gonna be fine. If he loves you, he'll come back. And I'm going,
that's
yeah.
funny. You were wow. That's intriguing. So they were drawn to you to get help.
Yeah.
So you did your hypnotherapy
Mhm.
certification. There had to be something funny that came out of doing and I'm a believer in hypnotherapy, by the way. I
Mhm.
actually listen to positive affirmations like every single day.
It's very
But
good.
anything funny ever happened like in hypnotherapy?
I mean, again, it's usually you're bringing up. The misconception is that everyone thinks that they're going to lose all their senses and lose control, and they're going to quack like a duck. And so we spend a
That's
lot
what
of
I did in Vegas when the guy hypnotized me. I was just amazed what was like. Like if you were a willing participant,
yeah.
I was on stage at a Vegas hypnotherapy thing, and I was amazed at like how I felt like I was there, and then I didn't feel like I was there,
Yeah.
and like he was able to get me to do stuff. I was a willing participant because I didn't want to make him look bad, but at the same time, I felt like I didn't have a lot of control of what was going on either. It
Stage
was a weird thing.
hypnotherapy, yeah. Stage hypnotherapy is very different than the hypnosis that I do, because you're being regressed. I take you back to a specific scene, place, event, and time. But I,
Right.
for me, the strangest, which is funny, not funny, experience that I've had is I was regressing this woman, and I'm having a conversation with her, just like you and I are having now.
Right.
And I begin the induction, to bring her to a deep level of relaxation, and her voice and her demeanor completely changed. She reverted back to this, in this scene she was 11 years old, and I was still new at the game. And so I'd never seen this. But in this scene, she was 11 years old, and she was confronting her parents, and she was very upset with them. And it was Christmas, and her entire demeanor changed. Her
Wow.
voice sounded like an 11-year-old. She was screaming. She was hysterical. It was high pitched. It was like having the 11-year-old in front of me. So for me, it was like, oh shit, what do I do now?
That was scary.
Walking them through it. And I've learned that, with some people, they go back so easily that they embody that version of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, funny, not funny, but it's like in that moment, what do? You got to keep walking them through it. But she was screaming hysterically.
Wow.
The tone of her voice changed. It was freaky.
She must have gone through some horrific stuff.
She was just pissed off. She was really pissed off. It's never happened on that level since. And I've worked with hundreds of women, but
Oh, okay.
but they will take on if they have to have a conversation with their abuser or someone who did them wrong, they will embody that. But no, that was freaky. At one point I was like, she's pulling my chain.
Right.
You feel like that. You're like, okay, she's putting on a show. This didn't something didn't work. She's not really, but no.
Okay. Because I thought you were going to tell me like she turned in to something evil, like on Ghostbusters or whatever.
I wish. No spooky
She's
stories.
like, I'm the gatekeeper.
No, could you
The
imagine?
key master. I'm the key master.
No, nothing. I hear stories, but for me, it's just, again, the women that I guess I attract in my practice are in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need comedy. They need to tune into this
They need to
comedy
tune in.
podcast because
Yeah.
you can find funny in so many things, just like watching people do stuff.
Just watching
It's just
people.
funny.
Yeah.
Like here's an example. So are you guys into like our Super Bowl here in the States? You guys?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So you're into our so I guess it's the worldwide Super Bowl, but anyway. So,
You're very possessive of the Super Bowl.
but here's what's funny. So you got January, right?
Yeah.
And people in January are like, okay, I am making this New Year's resolution. I'm going to work out. I'm going to exercise every day. I'm going to eat a low fat diet, blah, 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 blah. And then you got Super Bowl.
Then you got Super Bowl.
And if you go right now to the grocery stores in Dallas, Texas, good luck finding chips, bean dip,
Here too.
salsa. I mean, you talk about the fattiest foods that are available have all been purchased by now.
Yeah.
Beer. I mean, so we are such an interesting people
We are.
because we are like lizards. If it's warm outside, we're warm. If it's cold outside, we're cold.
Yeah.
If it's January, and like the craziest thing too, I think, is people that say we're gonna have a dry January. Who came up with that stupid idea?
I don't know. I
Like,
don't know.
and people are proud of it. Oh, I love dry January. And I'm like, dry January is just stupid. If you can't hold your liquor, you should be like dry January through December.
I think it's a reason to detox, you know. We want to sensationalize everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are just funny. But what is funny, these people that made these New Year's resolutions. So now we're in February. And so they're gonna gorge on
Yep.
Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, on very, very fattening food. And they say by February, like 70% of people that made New Year's resolutions are blowing them.
Yeah. Because resolutions don't work, diets don't work. It's not the way we're meant to live. Right? But again, we
Agreed,
sensationalize everything. We should give ourselves the permission to live freely and everything in moderation, but we don't. Right? We
That's
don't
true.
live in moderation.
That's true. I
We
think
have
we're
a soda,
drinking.
we have this big of a soda. You know, we need to hold it with two hands like a
I
barrel.
know it's horrendous.
Disgusting.
It really is. And two, you're made to feel bad if you're at a restaurant and you order water. It's like water, you can't live without water. Like
Yeah.
you can live without Diet Coke. You can live without Dr. Pepper. You can live without Pepsi products.
I used to feel cheap because they would say, that's all. It's like,
I
hold on,
know.
I'm gonna eat, you know? But then at some point you stop caring what people think and you're like,
Right. Yeah. It's another oddity that
yeah,
we have. This probably started in like the rise of the advertising culture. That's what my degree is advertising. I think it was in like the 50s that advertising really, really took off, and the big advertising agencies really took off and everything. And like Wall Street and the advertising moguls started telling people how to live their life.
yeah.
And then like it's just continued to propagate and propagate and propagate. Whereas today, you and I go into a restaurant and we order water with lemon in it, which is fantastic for you.
Yeah.
And they look at you like you're the cheapest person on earth.
Yeah, they make you feel bad.
Yeah.
And that the source, right? The source of our
Yes, you got to have water to live.
life.
You can go days without having food. You
Yeah.
can't live hardly any time period. What, 30 days without water? Is that it? I mean, I don't even know
Yeah.
what it is. It's really,
I think it's
really
24 hours without coffee.
Yeah. I'm
I
tapping out.
can't do that.
I'm tapping out. I watch these survival programs and I'm like, it's not that I'm not a tough person. It's just I don't want to be a tough person.
You don't want to be a tough person.
Like I would never like I always had when they do tap out and they're like, oh, I can't take it anymore. I need to eat, or I just can't take it anymore. I'm always for those people. I'm like, go, get out of there. This is so
Really?
stupid.
Yeah. I love those shows though.
I do too. I like watching them.
It's fun.
The
So one of my
psychology.
dreams has always been to be on The Amazing Race.
Oh, okay.
And I've applied for The Amazing Race Canada and never been selected, but that's always been something that I've wanted to do. You get to travel, but you watch a lot of those challenges and you think of how physically exhausted they must be. Because they don't show all of the behind the scenes of sleeping in airports and lugging around your luggage. And
Oh, yeah.
it's not all glamorous. You must be so physically exhausted. You know, because we're sitting there watching couples bicker, or, you know, kids interacting with their parents saying, how rude, or God, all
Right.
those two do is fight. We're not seeing the exhaustion behind it and the
I know.
energy
Yeah.
depletion. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, people, especially like famous people in film and television, like real actors, like we got this thing now where it's all, what's it called? It's not like actors. It's, you know what it's called? All these shows, reality TV shows.
Reality TV.
Yeah. So we went from professional actors and actresses and people who could actually act
Yeah.
to they don't have to pay these people.
But doesn't that say something about the state of the world if we are so consumed and fascinated in watching how other people live?
Oh, we're bored. Two
I'm
things.
guilty of it, right? Like, who doesn't
Yeah.
love a good reality TV
What are
series?
we doing right now? You and I are creating a reality video
That's what it is.
for people to consume because they're bored.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I got two things, Emma. I feel like people are bored and people are so easily amused. And then two, I believe people are like we live in a trinket society.
Mm,
Like people love trinkets.
yeah, this is
And
true.
it's crazy. Like I
I
remember when
think judgment drives it.
what's that?
Because it permits us to live outside of ourselves if we're focusing all of our attention and energy on everyone else, on other people and the way
Oh
they
yeah.
live.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. It's
so we don't have to
escapism.
look at ourselves. We can say, oh, that's disgusting. I can't believe he did that. I can't believe she would look at her body. Look at this, look at that. We spend so much time on the exterior that we don't have to deal with what's going on here, but we
Yeah.
live in a perpetual state of judgment. We have an opinion about everything. Can you imagine being in the Serengeti and hearing the giraffes and the antelopes having a conversation, you know, about this one's hoofs being a little too dirty and this
Right.
one's pile of crap didn't have as many flies as the other zebras? Like, just we're the only species on earth that literally lives in a perpetual state of judgment. And we think it's funny. We like watching people fail.
Chimpanzees.
We like watching people fail. They trip, they fall, they hurt themselves. I mean, we laugh at bloopers. America's Funniest Videos.
That's true.
You know, people fall, they smile. Oh, he's so stupid. That's our first reaction. And it's funny because I watched a video, and I do think
Uh-huh.
this is funny. I watched a video from this motivational speaker guy a few weeks ago. And he says, think about it. He says, when you're little, you're born and you're being taught to walk, you're encouraged. Like, oh, look at this. You know, he's taking his first steps. Good job. You
Right,
say
right.
your first word, you're encouraged to speak. You're in school, you're encouraged to do well. But the minute you become an adult and you share your intention of doing something like starting a business or going down this career path, that's when all the naysayers come out. That's when the judgment comes. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Get a job. Oh, no, don't do that. And it's like there's this cutoff point of being encouraging and supportive. Where's that line?
Yeah, true, true. Yeah, you know, most people would rather see anybody fail than succeed.
Yeah.
It's horrible. I
Yeah.
was going to try to give you an idea of why I think it's a trinket society, but but like when people go to parties and there are door prizes, that's a trinket. And
Mm-hmm.
and two, like we just went through Christmas, and I find it so funny, and I'm surprised like a professional comedian hasn't done a skit on this, or you know, but watching people do do you guys do in Canada? Do you do the Santa thing where everybody takes a number? Do you guys do that?
Secret
You know,
Santa.
what do you guys call it?
Secret Santa.
Oh, you guys call it. There's all kinds of different
Yeah.
names for it. White elephant
White
gift,
elephant. Yeah.
secret Santa. We used to call it screw your buddy gift giving, but it was. But what's funny about it is that for however long it takes to go through that gift process, everybody except me turns into a little kid for that 50 minutes it takes to go through that. And I've seen people, well, we used to do it with our Boy Scout troop, and kids would be angry and would start crying because they didn't get a gift that they liked.
Yeah.
And I would just give them my gift because I could care less. Because
Yeah.
if I got a gift that had like a name tag, if I had one that had like a barcode on the back of it, I'm taking it to Walmart the next day and getting money for it. This stuff's stupid.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff we do is backwards, unfortunately.
It's fun.
We're going to grow out of it. I mean, I just found out what Valentine's Day really means and where it actually comes from
St.
a couple days
Valentine's?
ago. St. Valentine's. And so I'm not going to share. I'm going to let you do your own research on it.
Okay, all right.
I was disgusted. But
Oh,
it's
really?
based on murder, cannibalism.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Uh-huh. So read the history of St. Valentine. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Right? Like this is the day that most people get engaged and babies are conceived and we're buying
Really?
chocolate hearts and we're celebrating.
I
That's
thought it was
because we
Hallmark
don't do
Day.
the research. We're just like, oh, there's a day to celebrate love. We should be celebrating love every day.
So here's what I think. I think the advertising agencies got together with their clients back in the 40s or 50s or whenever, and they said, okay, we just had Christmas. January is our worst month in
Easter's
retail,
too far away.
period. Mother's Day, I mean, all this was conceived. All these days that we celebrate, I think, were conceived and created for commerce.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
You have Christmas. Now you guys have Black Friday and we've jumped on the bandwagon these last few years. So there's Black Friday, there's Christmas, we have Boxing Day, then you have Valentine's Day, we have St. Patty's Day, then we have Easter, then we have Mother's Day, we have Father's Day, we have Canada Day. There's the 4th of July. Then we're
You guys
celebrating.
so you guys celebrate the United States getting independent?
Well, there's a lot of American blended families here, so we don't celebrate it as a nation. It's on an individual basis, but there's a lot of Canadian.
I'm so intrigued by everything.
But, I live in the province of Quebec. Well, Quebec's national day is June 24th. So we celebrate Quebec on June 24th, and then July 1st is Canada Day. So there's always something. But what's fascinating is when you walk into a store, right? And at the end of August, the school supplies, right? Beginning of August, school supplies. Towards the end of August, you have the Halloween stuff.
Okay.
Right? So Halloween hasn't even come yet. You're in the beginning of October and you're seeing the wrapping paper and the Christmas stuff. And then while the Christmas stuff is out, you're seeing the Valentine's Day stuff. You're constantly we're broke, we're stressed. We're constantly living on this wheel of what can I buy next? Yeah.
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 They're just trying to ring the cash register.
That wasn't created by God or whoever you believe in, or a higher power, right? It's not written anywhere in the Bible that's like every 6 weeks you got to go in debt. No.
This is really completely probably off topic, but so it was Thanksgiving at my house. I had young kids, and I had to get out of the house because Thanksgiving, like the food has to be perfect and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Yep. Kind of a high level of stress. And I don't really participate in high levels of stress. So I took my kids to the park. And while I was at the park, I saw this granddad and this mom and the two kids all hanging out together. And they were eating turkey sandwiches and drinking bottled water.
Aww.
And I thought, that is awesome. It wasn't a negative thing. It wasn't like they were poor and they were eating turkey sandwiches and bottled water.
No.
It's like they had risen above the situation and they had not adhered to the tradition, and they weren't experiencing the stress that we were back at our house.
Because the point of Thanksgiving is to get together, to be together as a family, to celebrate and to be grateful, right? Like for us, we have Canadian Thanksgiving, which is all about giving thanks, literally feeling grateful. Yeah. But we're so stressed from the week before, from the planning, from who's going to show up, to what we're going to wear, to is Bob going to be rude to Sally, and is Sally going to drink too much, and do we have white wine? We get caught up in all of that crap that it doesn't become enjoyable anymore. It
Right.
becomes us stepping out of our bodies and entertaining. That's not even what it's meant to, to be celebrated for.
Yeah. In here, it's all about football and drinking beer.
That's not too shabby.
No, it's not a bad thing.
Are you watching the Super Bowl tomorrow?
Absolutely.
Yeah, good
I
stuff.
can't even tell you who's playing.
The Bengals, and you know why I know? Because I
Okay.
watched Bengals, and at first I thought the Bengals are performing the halftime show, but no, I didn't even know there was a football team named the Bengals.
Oh, really? They got the
Did you know?
Bengals before yeah, I know exactly who the Bengals, the rock
I
group.
kept hearing like Eternal Flame playing at the halftime show, but no.
Aren't they the like walk like an Egyptian? Isn't that the
Uh-huh.
Bengals? Yeah.
Yeah.
Walk. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's
Mhm.
one of my first CDs ever. Just because I had just gotten a CD player, they had just come out with a CD player, and I couldn't
Yeah.
afford multiple CDs, and this one was really cheap.
That's funny. I think their song Eternal Flame is still one of the most romantic ones ever. So
Oh, is it? Yeah.
well,
Well,
this has been so fun.
absolutely. So this is the time, Emma, in my show where we get to promote. And I'm sure you're really shy when it comes to your business. And I know I'm super shy when it comes to my business. But go ahead, Emma. Tell everybody, one, what you do, how
Hmm.
you do it, and how they can get in touch with you. And then we'll get some digital signature for Emma, guys and gals, so that you can get in contact with Emma if what she says resonates with you. Emma, go ahead.
I love it. Thank you. And you can't be shy. You're the sales warrior.
It's a joke.
Oh.
I'm not shy at all.
I was like, that's an oxymoron.
I go and get my oil change and sell stuff. No, you go ahead.
Thank you. Well, you can find me on Facebook, Mindset Makeover Coaching. I'm on TikTok and all of the social platforms. I'm a rapid transformational therapist, which incorporates NLP, neuro linguistic programming, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and different modalities, including hypnotherapy. So it's a really cool process for anyone who's feeling stuck. Hypnotherapy is fantastic for anyone who is wanting to quit smoking, who suffers from any addictions, fears, phobias, and a lot of stress. I work primarily with women who want to lose weight and suffer with chronic weight issues, because as women, we're really hard on ourselves. We're hard on our bodies. And so the process of incorporating the rapid transformational therapy, the mindset coaching, and the mindfulness coaching just creates this incredible package of, from start to finish, learning why you behave the way you do, why you keep repeating the same behaviors and patterns, why you're showing up in the world as you are today, and then reframing that, upgrading your subconscious beliefs to get you on the path of living the life you want to live. That's what I do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you also get involved in Reiki?
Isn't that funny? I don't teach Reiki, but I do have, I work with energy. Yeah, access consciousness, actually. I'm a bars practitioner and facilitator.
I think Reiki is wild. Like,
You and I had this conversation. Yeah.
the whole concept of it, like I know personally for me, and I'm going to talk about my business, but I know personally for me, like if I have a stomach ache and I take this hand and I put this hand on my stomach, I can feel my stomach moving and I feel myself getting better. And that's Reiki.
Yeah, 100%. And, access bars kind of works similarly. I help people connect with their bodies so that you can learn to tune in and tap into exactly what part of you is feeling that way, and asking yourself, does that really belong to you? Is it someone else's energy that you've absorbed? How can you return it to sender with consciousness attached? How can you communicate with your body to kind of work through that pain or that feeling? Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and promote my business, Emma. So folks, you can see John Sales Warrior. So I've been professionally selling for 32 years successfully. And I didn't want to leave this earth without people knowing my knowledge base and my wisdom. So I got busy and wrote a book. It's out on Amazon. It's called Sales Warrior. And then I also thought, people really need something that they can embrace, that they can take in little small quantities to inspire them. So I put together a professional boot camp, and it's called Sales Warrior Module 1. And it's a 3-day boot camp that you can literally chew on 1 hour at a time. And so my special for folks is if you buy my boot camp, and it's real easy to connect with me. My LinkedIn is John Sales Warrior. My website is saleswarriorinspired.com. But if you buy my boot camp, which is generally $400 for $199, I'll give you my book on Amazon for free. And I'll also give you 30 minutes with me where we speak specifically about the obstacles that you struggle with in your business journey. So that's it. Emma, wonderful having you on.
Thank you
I think
so
you're a lot
much.
funnier than you're giving yourself credit for.
I know I'm hilarious. It's just, sometimes you have these blocks, but you're great at bringing the funny out of the situation. So thank
Oh,
you.
yeah. Life was not meant to be like serious. I
No.
think that's most people's faux pas. They think
100%.
they think that they can't be successful and they can't be, what do you call it? Productive.
Professional. Yeah, because you got to put on this persona.
And that's the opposite. Like you could be more productive and you can get more in the zone if you allow the funny to happen and
100%.
not take life so seriously, because that can really affect your health too.
Yeah.
To
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so
oh
grateful.
yeah, pleasure. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I mean, it's been
Anytime.
and it's part of my boot camp, by the way. Your podcast is.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful day. Happy Super Bowl weekend.
Yes, you too. Yeah, enjoy all that food tomorrow that everybody's
For
going to
sure.
consume that we told everybody about.
Yeah. We'll talk soon.
You got to enjoy life. All righty.
Yeah. Thanks,
Oh,
everyone.
and from Dallas, Texas, cheers, everybody. And Emma, you want to say goodbye to my audience?
Goodbye, audience from Montreal.
Awesome. We appreciate you.